So how are you?
I'm well. I'm well. It's been a busy end of the year. Lots of preparations and planning, and a lot of exciting things for 2023. So I'm good. It's been nice to kind of get to this point, and hopefully this week between now and New Year's, enjoy a little bit of downtime, and then we hit the ground running with trade shows the first week of January. So I'm really looking forward to the year ahead.
I see. But I think we can just jump right into the interview part. But
Yeah.
I really wanted to sort of rewind the clock back when you were still working for another company, and when you came up with this concept. What was the moment like? Was there like an aha moment for you, or I know it's really tough for anyone to start a business, and to become an inventor, you need to have this kind of commitment. You to tell the story from the inception.
Absolutely. So the idea for Draft Top as a whole came as far back as 2000. It was the spring of 2000, and I was at flight school. Initially, before all of this, my intention in life was to, become a commercial pilot, and I never wanted to fly airlines, but I always wanted to do something unique in the flying space. I did become a commercial pilot and a flight instructor, and I flew for a while during college, but it was at flight school in the spring of 2000 that somebody had shown me how to use your canine tooth to open up the top of a can. I won't demonstrate it right now, but essentially what you're doing is you put your tooth just below the rim where the aluminum is very soft, and you spin it around. And I don't think it's as dangerous as many people think, because everyone's always afraid they're going to see a cut lip. But what I remember in the moment was very important to me, and that was that I was drinking a really cheap American beer that you drink only in college when you have a budget. And moments later, after the top was off, I said, "Wow, this tastes a lot better." Now, obviously, the experience was a bit barbaric, and it's also leaves a sharp edge, so it's not something you would continue with. But I just remember thinking, this tastes significantly better than it did moments ago, and and that kind of sat with me for a while. I don't know that I connected the dots for quite a while. And it was actually 11 years later, in 2011, I was at my in-laws' house. We're ready to sit down and actually have Christmas dinner. And I was drinking another cheap American beer, and then was asked if I can open up a bottle of wine for the table when we sat down. And as I grabbed the foil cutter, I said to myself, well, wait a minute, what if you could use a foil cutter type device to open the top of a can? And then I remember the moment very vividly, because I look at my wife's cousin and I said, and he's not a very big beer drinker, but I just said, in my mind, the wheels start turning instantly. And I just said, what if you could take the top off the can, but you would leave the rim on? And was this something you would buy? And the answer was no. But it was just funny, because I, at the time, thought to myself, well, it's difficult to explain how something's better, and when it's very sensory related, until you can actually try that. And so that kind of sat with me for a while. I just remember coming back from Christmas vacation, thinking nonstop about it. And then basically from 2011 until 2015, I was trying to find a way to make that possible. So, as of right now, at least here in the States, and I imagine you have access to the same in Japan, but you can get a regular can opener that you would use for a soup can, and squeeze the handles and do that. And that worked. And I said, all right, well, if that's the end result, that would be ideal, because obviously not having a dull pressed on rim is not acceptable. It would be sharp otherwise. Then, then how do I make that happen? The cut has to occur in the right spot, so on and so forth. And it was a challenge from 2011 till 2015, to solve that problem. And you had to find a way to solve it that was universal enough that would cover the majority of cans on the market. So I met a guy at work who was my co-founder, Sean Kelly, still with the company today. And he had his own ideas, working on his own thing, and got to a point where he stalled, like I think most entrepreneurs do at some point. You kind of stall and have to pivot to figure the direction you're going in. And I said, hey, do you want to do this? Let's, and he was a big beer guy. He enjoyed craft beer. So let's split this 50-50 and let's figure it out. And we did. And so from, I would say maybe around 2014, we got to a point where we'd probably spent about $10,000, so $5,000 each. And I said to him, my wife's not happy that I'm spending all this time and all this money on these tinkering, concepts in the basement. We need to find a way to determine if there's even a market for this and if people would buy the product. Let's just stop and cut our losses and move on with life. And so that was Kickstarter. And he had introduced me to Kickstarter at the time. I'd never heard about it, but after looking into it, I said, this is brilliant. I mean, what's great about crowdfunding, and obviously, it's this perfect opportunity to test the market and see if there's an opportunity in a market for your idea or your product, and then also gain financial traction in making it happen. And so that was the initial Kickstarter in 2015, which was, we did about 214,000 in 30 days. And I said, okay, this is worth putting more time and effort into. Let's continue. And so it was interesting, because from 2015 till we relaunched in 2019 with a far better product, it was learning the business of things, making a product better, getting the costs down. We first produced in China, and although we had a great experience, dealing with long lead times and having to forecast and figure that out was just a lot. So I said, let's see if there's a way we can get this done here in the States. The United States was going through its own movement of trying to bring manufacturing back. And we said, this is a good time. So, and then you're also trying to learn the ins and outs of being an entrepreneur in the business side of things. Inventing's one, but how to manage money and how to grow and how to market a product. And so it was a wild ride just to get to the very second Kickstarter. And I say this now, but I look back and I completely underestimated the challenges in marketing something that is so experiential, so physical, sensory perception wise, because to try to do that digitally is a challenge. So I completely underestimated that. But I remember thinking, like, well, the product's small, it's easy. This should be easy. And and it hasn't been, but it's been a wild ride. So
wow. So